Lacus looked at Victor in stunned belief.
You really don't understand what you just did? Woman, stop rambling and tell me.
Lacus took a deep breath and raked her hands through her hair. Kaguya explained.
Lady Lacus is frustrated because you did something impossible. You used an attack to seamlessly unite the three powers.
Victor was stunned. Kaguya continued.
This attack is basically the fusion of the powers of Clan Fulgur, Clan Scarlet, and Clan Snow.
The three women looked at Victor in silence. Victor stammered, So? Pepper sighed.
He needs to learn about vampire society first.
Kaguya nodded in agreement.
Listen, Victor, let's do an example here, okay?
Lacus started to explain as if she were talking to a child. She picked up a stick from the ground and started drawing a picture.
Let's use my sister Ruby as an example.
She drew Ruby in the dirt.
Ruby is a vampire who inherited the powers of Scathach, the strongest female vampire in the world.
Victor nodded, listening intently.
In the beginning, my mother's powers weren't as strong as they are now. She could only create a block of ice.
She drew Scathach using her powers.
She had to train hard to raise her powers to the level they are now, and over the millennia, she managed to increase that power. Then at some point, she decided she wanted to have a daughter. And like every strong female vampire at that time, she did the obvious. She kidnapped a vampire from a clan that had powers that could match her powers.
Victor was speechless.
The man who was chosen was a vampire who could control water and breathe underwater. Our mother used the vampire until she became pregnant, and even went through the ritual and married him. She did all of this to ensure that her child had greater potential than she did.
Victor swallowed. Mother of the Year.
A few years later, when Ruby was born, Scathach killed her husband and raised Ruby on her own.
Victor winced. Well, Lacus continued.
So you see, Ruby inherited the powers of both parents perfectly.
She drew Ruby using her powers.
Ruby could control water and ice, and she could also breathe underwater. She could also combine the two powers like you did just now. Since she was little, Ruby has always had great power, and she's always had the potential to surpass Scathach, but only with an enormous amount of training.
She looked at Victor with grave intensity.
But what you've just done is literally impossible. You have the three powers of the strongest clans in the vampire world, and you've combined them perfectly, without training.
She looked at him intently.
Do you understand?
Victor nodded, still trying to piece everything together. Kaguya could see that he was still confused. She stepped in.
Allow me to elaborate. All clans that hold the title of noble vampire these days have done something like that in the past. With each generation that passed, they'd make their children train to the limit, and then they'd find a partner who matched the clan's powers and made their heirs have children.
Victor listened closely.
2,000 years of selective breeding, just to create a vampire with stronger potential than the parents. Although that kind of practice is quite limited because vampires have low fertility. Then one day, boom!
Kaguya loudly clapped her hands together, causing Victor to flinch.
You showed up and used the three powers of the clan of vampire counts. And you're neither a son nor an heir of those clans. You basically ignored the whole history of the clans. What you're capable of was long thought to be impossible.
Victor opened his mouth in shock, and then he looked at his fists. So having these powers is considered abnormal. Victor was feeling weird. He didn't consider himself special or anything like that, but it wasn't a bad feeling. With my potential, if I train like crazy, can I get to the level of my mother-in-law? I still crave a battle with her. Victor smiled gently and patted Kaguya on the head. I get it. Thank you. Kaguya beamed. Victor scratched his head. So this selective breeding, is that what all the clans do? Pepper cocked her head, frustrated. Kaguya took a deep breath. Clearly, she had more to explain.
Talk about Ruby's family, for example. Scathach was already a powerful woman when she decided to have a daughter. And when she had a daughter, the daughter was born with the potential to surpass her own mother. In the end, it all depends on the parents themselves and the children's effort. After all, the children have a better start than the parents had. But you see, 80% of vampires worldwide are like Cornelio, lazy, proud, and not driven to hone their skills.
Victor stared at Kaguya with a blank expression.
But don't despair. Plenty of vampires are hard workers. but only 1% are crazy about training like Lady Scathach.
Victor was reeling. Wow, 80% of the vampire population is just useless. Victor scratched his chin. Just out of curiosity, the families of my other wives, Violet's mother and Sasha's mother, are they just like Scathach? Kaguya shook her head.
They're not the same. Lady Violet's mother is narcissistic and obsessed with her husband. And Lady Sasha's mother, she was obsessed with gambling and rarely trained. But she's been alive for nearly 2,000 years, so she is powerful, but not on the same level as Ruby's mother.
Victor looked disappointed. I see. Lacus shot him a look.
Why are you curious about these women's families?
Pepper yelled in a cute voice.
Are you ignoring what he just said?
Lacus looked at her sister and raised an eyebrow.
What? Did you hear him? He just said, my wives.
Lacus was surprised. Is that right, Victor? He lowered his eyes and nodded. Yes. Lacus pressed.
Who are they?
Victor was interrupted by Pepper.
Seriously? He was talking about Violet and Sasha. Obviously, it's them. I need to tell my friends. The 3 flowers of the vampire world have been taken by some stranger.
Lacus nodded.
Wow, that is something.
Kaguya sighed.
Lady Pepper loves to gossip.
Victor was overwhelmed with all the new information. He started walking toward a more spacious place. Enough talk. Let's train. Kaguya followed him.
Lord Victor is right.
The 2 sisters exchanged glances and followed him as well. As Victor walked through the forest, he felt his throat go suddenly dry. He dropped to his knees on the ground. His eyes changed to blood red, and his teeth started to extend and sharpen. Kaguya's eyes widened.
His bloodlust, it's taking over.
Pepper yelled like she had a good idea.
We should train bloodlust control.
Kaguya tried to shut this down immediately.
I disagree. Lord Victor's bloodlust is stronger than that of ordinary vampires. Therefore, the chance of him going mad is very high.
Pepper gave her a clueless look.
Why is his bloodlust stronger?
Kaguya pointedly didn't share any more information regarding this.
Something happened in the past that made him like this. That's all I can say.
Lacus watched Victor roll on the ground. He was in pain but regaining control.
So what are we supposed to do?
You don't need to do anything. I'm fine. Victor stood up and forced a smile, but it failed miserably, as his sharp bangs were showing. Kaguya looked at Victor with a stoic expression.
Lord Victor, are you sure everything is all right?
Yes, my bloodlust is just stronger than before.
Wait, that's not the end. You've just had a free taste. Now get the full story on the Pocket FM app, link in description. Check out our next video and playlist, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.